Good morning. Hey, it's Dr. James. I do hope and pray this message finds you and your loved ones peaceful, thriving, and well. So before we begin, I'm going to let you know right up front, this may be the most amazing opportunity for me to share something that I think you're going to go, oh my gosh, that is one of the coolest things I have ever heard, ever learned, ever wanted to know about in relationship to my life today. Yeah, I sound like, oh my gosh, what is it? Well, this is so cool because, man alive right now, it's so fascinating. I was reading a study just yesterday that talked about how one of the latest things that we are in contempt of, and I say we, it's the collective we, not necessarily you, but the collective we across the planet right now is any sort of study that talks about happiness. They're like, oh man, happiness is overrated, happiness is frivolous, happiness, blah, 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 blah. Well, and you know what? There's been literally tens of thousands of books in the last 10 years alone that have been written on happiness. But so few have ever touched on what I think is the coolest thing we're ever going to hear and learn about happiness. And it's actually called the Very Happy People Study from Harvard. That's right, the Very Happy People Study from Harvard. Now, this study went on for 80 years. It's a smaller study, but a very, very deep, very vast, very integrated, unbelievably disciplined study of 222 people who were followed for 80 full years. And yes, they looked at their medical records. And yes, they looked at how much money they were making. They looked at every single thing, literally every single week. They were tracking diet. They were tracking habits and behaviors and loss of loved ones. And oh my goodness, nothing was overlooked to try to qualify and then quantify what was the most important thing when it came to being a very happy person, the happiest person. So here's what they found out. It wasn't wealth. It wasn't your looks. Of course it wasn't. It wasn't your fame. It wasn't your fortune. It wasn't anything that so many people, unfortunately, pursue in the name of happiness, right? The hedonic treadmill that, particularly here in the West, so many people have sort of correlated with happiness. Well, when I get this promotion, when I get this much money, when I get this much whatever, fame, when I get this many likes on social media, then I can start to really entertain the idea of happiness. Well, guess what? The one thing that mattered more than anything was deep social connection. Deep social connection. Oh my gosh, I read that and there's a part of me that said, that's beautiful. And so simple. And then I said, it's beautiful and not as simple as what maybe once was. I know a lot of people in this time, they've lost loved ones. And I'm not necessarily talking about loved ones to death, but there's been death of friendships. There's been death of connection. Because there's been so many things that have come up and then allowed to come between us. Choices people make, conspiracies that people have believed in and then spread and then used to create distance between family and loved ones and friends. Many people I've talked to said, gosh, I used to have this friend, and all of a sudden I learned this, and this, and now I said, we're not friends anymore. Well, I look at the Very Happy Study, the Very Happy People Study from Harvard, and I pause. And I say, okay, what is it about social connection that makes us feel so good? Well, we know physiologically when we have social connection that's deep and meaningful, vulnerable, open and honest and trusting, it does things to our heart. It does things to our neurochemistry. It does things to our mental and emotional well-being. But it does something as well spiritually. I think it buoys us up to have a different perspective, maybe a broader perspective, where we don't see the distance. We don't see the stuff in between, why we choose to have friends or let go of certain friends. And I certainly understand toxicity in friendship. I understand people that you say, I just couldn't do this anymore. But we have to ask ourselves deeper questions now about what it is that we can now evolve to and what it is that we can become. What are the things that we can bond around? What are the things that we can connect deeply socially on? I think that ultimately we all do want the same thing. happiness. In the way that we've maybe thought happiness was going to come through money, through fame, through all the different things that we have once maybe associated, or even today still associate with, this is when I'm going to be happy. We can stop everything and say, oh, this study actually is telling me I can be happy now. I'm going to begin with one person that I know I love. I'm going to begin with one person. I'm going to ask for their trust in me and love of me. I'm going to go deep. I'm going to go strong. I'm going to go all in. And I'm going to see how this potentially can feed into other deep, beautiful social connections. And maybe the dehumanizing, the hate, the distance, the stuff that has come into so many former friendships, we can maybe find and rebuild or create brand new friendships based on the deep desire of what it is that we all are pursuing. One time said hundreds of years ago, everyone should have the right to pursue happiness. Well, guess what? We do. And it comes down to me, and it comes down to you. So here's to the very happy people study. And here's to opening up our hearts way up, way out loud, and creating a life with others that we love. I love you. Thank you for the deep social connection that we get a chance to have each and every morning here in this church called the Treehouse. Much love and all blessings. Bye for now.